In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of the Canon 430EX Mk2 Speedlite Flash. But before I do that, I'd just like to say a few words. And this is meant to be helpful, not condescending. So if you know this already, apologies in advance, but it might be useful to those who are newer to photography. And what I notice on photography forums and also on my own YouTube channel is that all the excitement seems to be about lenses and bodies. It's never lighting. I've done some flash videos, and they don't get many views. And 17 months ago, I did a video of a cheap studio lighting kit I bought, and that's had less than 100 views. There's just very little interest in lighting. I'm not one of those people to say that your camera doesn't matter, because it does matter, but only up to a point. With photography, all we do is record the light that's reflected from our subject. And if the light is bad, it doesn't matter how good your camera or lens is, your photos are still going to suck. For this reason, instead of spending thousands of dollars on cameras and lenses, most people will actually be better off by buying a cheap flash or a reflector, or even using a piece of white cardboard to act as a reflector. I took this portrait with my old Canon 430D. It's a 10 megapixel camera from 2007, but it works because I use a flash and the lighting is good. The exposure on the face is balanced nicely with the exposure in the background, and there's a nice catch light in her eyes. I could have taken this photo with a much better camera and lens, but with poorer lighting, and the shot wouldn't have been half as good. When you're shooting against a bright background, your camera's metering system is going to underexpose your subject. You can change the exposure to get your subject correctly exposed, but then your background is going to be completely blown out. It doesn't matter how expensive your camera or lens is, it's not going to fix the problem. But with a little fill flash, it will fix the problem very easily. It may be a misconception that you should only use flashes when it's very dark. I do occasionally use flashes when it's very dark, but mostly I use them in low light or in very bright conditions, and I'll explain that in a few seconds. Here are a couple of shots taken with the 430EX Mark II at a fashion show that my daughter was in. The lighting was very low, and even though I was using quite a fast lens, if I hadn't have used a flash, the shutter speeds would have been very low and there would have been a lot of camera blur. It may seem contradictory to some, but I tend to use a flash most when it's very, very bright. And the reason for that is because when you're shooting against bright backgrounds, faces get underexposed. And these shots here are at my local floating market, where the vendors wear wide-brimmed hats, and that just exacerbates the problem. So if you don't use a flash, the faces will be really underexposed. One more thing, in this video I'll be talking about using the 430EX Mark II wirelessly, and my next video will be about the Canon wireless flash system. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the little bell to make sure you're notified as soon as that video is ready. Now let's take a close look at the 430EX Mark II. The 430EX2 uses 4 AA batteries, and with some of my flashes there's a separate save energy position on the on-off switch. There's not with this one, but when you turn it on, it actually goes into a save energy mode. So after a certain time of inactivity, the flash will go to sleep, and that length of time can be changed through the custom functions. And after it goes to sleep, all you need to do to wake it up is just to press the shutter release button halfway down. The head rotates, bounces and zooms, and the zoom can be set manually or automatic. If we want to set it manually, just press the zoom button so that it flashes, and then use these two buttons to zoom in and out. So 28, 35, 50, 70, 80, 105. And if we go back, once the M disappears, it's in automatic mode. And this one is quite clever compared to the 550EX. The 550EX has an automatic zoom, but it came from the sort of pre-digital camera age, and it assumes that every sensor is full size. This one can actually detect the sensor size of the camera. That's this little symbol here. And it can detect 3 sensor sizes: full size, 1.6 times crop factor and 1.3 times crop factor. so it will adjust the zoom depending on the crop factor of your camera. There's also a wide angle diffuser that can be pulled down, and when you put that in position, the flash can be used with lenses as wide as 14mm. This button illuminates the display, and if you hold it down, it goes into custom function mode. Once you're in there, just use these buttons to scroll through the custom functions, and when you get to the one you want, press select set and then change the value of the custom function. Quite easy. This mode button toggles between evaluative through the lens metering and manual, and I never use my flashes in manual mode. Quite often I will use the camera in manual exposure mode, but my flash will still be set to ETTL. I find that manual mode on the flash is just too much hassle, and ETTL does a very good job. This button here toggles between high speed sync and second curtain sync and off. This pilot light, when that's red, it indicates that the flash is ready to fire, and it also acts as a test button, so if you press that, the flash will fire. And this light underneath is a confirmation light, so provided that your flash exposure was adequate, that will illuminate green after your shot. There's a locking lever to lock the flash to the camera, and this little button here needs to be pressed to release it so that it can't come off accidentally. If you don't press that button, you can't release the flash. Around the front there's an infrared assist beam for autofocus. That helps autofocus if the light is low. And this is an optical sensor here for when the flash is used in a wireless flash system, and that will be the subject of my next video. This flash unit can't be used to control other flashes in a wireless flash system, but it can be controlled by another device. And to get into that mode, you just need to press and hold the zoom button. And once you're there, you can change the channel ID and the group ID. I'll be doing a lot more about this in my next video, which is all about the Canon optical wireless flash system. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you'll get notified when that video comes out, and it will be quite soon. Not including my film camera flashes, these are the 3 flashes I own, and the most important thing to me is small size and lightweight. So if I'm travelling, I'll just take the 90EX to get a bit of fill flash. If I need something more powerful, I'll generally go for the 430EX2. The 550EX is more powerful with a guide number of 55 compared to 43, but for 99% of the time the power from this is perfectly adequate, and I prefer the smaller size and lighter weight. I think it's a great little flash, and it's a flash that I'm perfectly happy to recommend. As always, I hope this video was useful. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Thanks for watching, and the next video about the Canon wireless flash system will be along very soon.